Hi, Dr. Webb. I hope you had a nice week, and hi to Boudreaux. This is chapter 7 on in the Gillespie and Hammond Orchestra Strategies rehearsal book. In chapter 7, I think it's really I don't want to say comical, but like humorous that it has air quotes around its title, like conducting your rehearsal, because you've mentioned it in class that we're not really conductors. As educators, we're teachers that conduct. And the chapter, obviously, it's really helpful, but it really explains how to have an effective rehearsal. And one of the biggest things that it says, it's like later on in the chapter, but it says how the biggest mistake to make is talking, too much talking. And even now, I hate when, there's just way too much talking in a rehearsal, because that's so much valuable time that can get lost for just talking. But, especially for orchestra students, and they have really small attention spans because, students, and being young. So it just, the best thing to do in rehearsal is just to keep things moving, and also keeping things moving allows them less opportunity to misbehave or kind of get distracted, and I think that's really, really important. But aside from that, to have an effective rehearsal, there should be proper tuning and warm-ups and scales. So proper tuning, there are different ways that teachers approach this. Personally, we kind of did it the traditional way, where like the concertmaster played the A for the rest of the orchestra, and that. But teachers also do drawings. They do it themselves, and the chapter, or Gillespie and Hammond, kind of explained that the downside, there's always downsides to types of tuning, but especially when it's more autonomy based tuning, like students tuning their own instruments, that's it's becomes less and less accurate, and how much can you really do if you don't have a tuned orchestra, and how effective can that really be? But yeah. After tuning, scales, warm-ups, technique work, personally in my high school orchestra, we always did scales, rounds, different keys, different major, minor, and we would also play the chorale in the Essential Books element. I think it was like green or purple, but yes, or this is kind of a really good opportunity to pre-teach any concepts like rhythms, keys, articulation, dynamics, all of that. After warm-ups and tuning and all of that, you have to, or should, review old materials. I didn't really understand what that meant until I read it, and it's basically you work on, or you play on, you play previous stuff that you've rehearsed, or like pieces that you've read through and now you nitpick. And then after that, you introduce new material and really go work through the material that you're going to play for in concerts or any events like that. And after that, there's sight reading or improvisation. Both are important. I think I would personally lean towards sight reading because I'm not a fan of improv. And I remember growing up that scared me a lot, sight reading, but I regret it not doing it as much. And then after that, I think there should be like a little dip or like a little break from rehearsing, which is where, as a teacher, you'd give announcements and comments and all of that. And then at the end of the rehearsal, you kind of end it on a high note, and it's just like you play what you've been working on the whole period, and then you let them pack. Oh, and I think I would really remember this, how Gillespie and Hammond break down like the ratio to how rehearsal should be planned out. So 1/4 is the warm-ups and technique work and very, very introduction warm-up stuff. And then the second, like a half of the rehearsal should be actual rehearsing and like playing through pieces and working on all of that. And then the later quarter of rehearsal should be the sight reading, announcements, and then finishing up rehearsal and allowing time to pack up so they have time to go to their next class. Oh, one thing that I really like that the book mentions is that we should make time for off instrument stretching, because personally it took me a long time to really acknowledge that or take care of my own body when playing an instrument, because I think, you know, it's so much just play the instrument, but you forget to take care of your physical self. And I guess introducing that, like, is really helpful. And it also allows students to take a breather, because they don't just have orchestra, they have schoolwork and like lots of clubs and all that. And also kind of leaning that, or yeah, going from off instrument stretches to on instrument warm-ups, like oh, I don't have it here, or like the skills and warm-ups. Like I would probably look through that, the Musician's Guide to Health, Wealth, and Success. And another important thing is just having your students get on a routine, so it's just less opportunity for any bad behavior or any acting out. And yeah. Also, another thing that it mentions, how you really have to know your students. In the chapter it mentions how there are more students that are diagnosed with attention deficit disorders or dyslexias, and just knowing your students is really helpful in finding ways to accommodate, because every student is different. Yeah, have a nice week.